This is Sportish.
Do it better.
This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish.
This is Sportish. It's a show about sports. Kind of. I'm Geoff Brault. He's Dr. Keith Strudler, director of the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University. Our producer is Mike Wallace. Thanks for hanging out with us on For the Fans. Archived episodes available at ftfnext.com. If for some reason you only want to listen and not see us, well, you can find audio versions of the show. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you want them. They're there. However you enjoy this program, we're glad you're here to enjoy it. Keith, you enjoy the Super Bowl?
I did enjoy the Super Bowl. You know, I'm a Bucs fan.
I do.
I enjoyed the Super Bowl. I mean, the game itself was somewhat lackluster.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed, and I found myself giving in to rooting for Tom Brady. And it was one of those things, you just give yourself into it. As a Bucs fan, you just allow yourself to just join. It's kind of like when you join the dark side. I'm sure like all the stormtroopers that kind of, well, I guess stormtroopers is a bad example. They were kind of born into it. But all of the folks that eventually joined the dark side, as Han Solo almost did, of course, in his movie, I think at some point you just give into it. It feels good, you know? You do it.
First of all, I'm going to need you to throw out some spoiler alerts before you start talking about what Han Solo is or is not doing. Some of us have not seen all of the new Star Wars.
But that's no. The statute of limitations is over on that. Disney Plus has been out for quite some time.
But I don't have Disney Plus. Disney Plus is not. I am not their demographic.
Oh, you see? Well, you don't. Of course, you are. The Mandalorian. You don't like The Mandalorian?
I would love to love The Mandalorian, but I can't because I don't have Disney Plus. That seems like a bridge too far in my streaming wallet.
Why do you not have Disney Plus? Because it's like $5-7 a month.
The vast majority of their content is not content that I would like to have access to. I want to be able to see the Hamilton musical and I want to watch The Mandalorian. That's it. $7 a month starts to add up.
There's a lot. There's movies. There's movies on it too. And you just cycle through you find stuff. I would do it. Look, there's no reason to watch anything other than For the Fans Network, of course. But if you find yourself having already seen that episode of Poker 101, you got it. But are you excited about the Paramount streaming service, Paramount Plus?
I'm excited about the commercial for Paramount Plus. Anything with Sir Patrick Stewart in it is going to get my attention. Am I excited about it? No, I'm not excited about it. We have too many streaming services. What was the problem with cable? It cost $227 if you wanted to get 25 channels. Now you spend $7 a month 30 times. And you're spending just as much as you spent before for exactly the same content. It just comes in 900 different ways. All we've done now with all these streaming services is reinvent cable.
Are you suggesting that big business is going to win again?
You know what? Here in America, I think big business might come out on top.
They totally got one over on us. We're like, I'll show you. I'm going to cut the cord. And then you just keep grabbing lifelines.
Exactly. Like, can you imagine if I told you, hey, Keith, something costs $100 a month? You're going to think, oh, my Lord, well, I must really think about whether this is truly worth it. That is a consequential amount of money. I say, hey, Keith, I got 10 things that cost $10 a month each. You're going to look at each one and go, it's $10. What do I care?
That's the problem. I can't say no to a streaming service. There has not one has come across my desk that I'm like, we don't need it. Because there's always one show. I actually think there's some cabal. Like they're working in conjunction. They're like, look, Billion's going to stay over here. Star Trek's going to stay over there. I mean, there's something happening. This is like the Ivy Leagues. No one gets into all 8.
But it is a cabal. It's been a cabal from the very beginning. Why do you think you don't have a choice of what cable provider you get? Where you live, you get one option if you want cable. Streaming started to do the same thing. You want to watch everything, you got to get everything. They're not competing with each other.
What'd you think of The Weekend? Kind of creeped me out, thing on the... I understand it was actually... they got the mask on, and that's a good thing, but it got me a little weirded out. I know they were limited, by the way. I give him all kinds of credit because you can't have Lady Gaga coming out of a helicopter. Right. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I actually like that it was simple like that. And I like The Weeknd. Like I like his music. I like The Weeknd. So I was happy that he was just doing kind of a scaled down miniature concert. So I was happy with The Weeknd. Okay. And I think a lot of people unfairly weren't. I think a lot of people just want to hate. And no matter who you put on that stage, you could put their favorite artist on that stage and they'd be like, man, it's too commercial. People just want to hate.
I'm in a good mood today. I told you this before we got on there, and that never happens. I never get on and say, you know what? I'm just happy to be alive. I'm in a good mood. I feel like things are going well. I'm positive right now. Full disclosure, no shot yet. I don't know when that's going to happen. And now I've realized I'm my own worst enemy, because you know what? Here's the secret. I'm healthy as a horse. I'll live through a nuclear holocaust. Like nothing can kill me. And so there's nothing that's going to get me in that. I'm going to be they're going to look at me, even when it's my turn. They're going to look at me and be like, this guy doesn't need it. He's invincible. So that's the problem. I'm too healthy. My body is a temple. I run all the time. I don't even think the virus can catch me. I
would just like to recap in case anyone happens to be joining us a few minutes late. The question that started whatever that was, did you like The Weeknd? Keith Strudler did you like the halftime show? I gave my thoughts on the halftime show. And the way shows like this usually work is after I say what I think, then you chime in with your opinion. You decided to use your half of the conversation to tell the world that you are impervious to the effects of a nuclear holocaust and that doctors are going to remove you from the vaccination chair because you were simply too healthy for modern medicine.
I cede my time to the crazy guy from New Jersey. By the way, I would love to have a name like that, where you are now like a thing. You've been referred to like The Weeknd. The Weeknd is a great name. The Weeknd. Like, hey, what's your name? I'm The Weeknd. That's not the name of the band. That's him. That's The Weeknd.
Yeah, he's one guy. Yeah.
That's great. I would love to have
There's a lot of people like Eagle Eye Cherry is one guy. Remember that song, Save Tonight?
Yeah, that's your date. That's a dated. Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of that song.
No, how could you not be? That's a great.
I just wasn't.
That song almost defines the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a great musical period. And so and it kind of typifies what I didn't like about that. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy. It's nothing personal against Eagle Eye Cherry, but it's just I didn't like that song.
Seems like a good time to bring up that Keith Strudler might have the worst musical taste of anyone.
That's not true.
In the history of the planet.
That is not true.
You know what? Now we have to tell this story. All of us involved in Sportish were covering the Iron Bowl a few years back. Myself, Keith, Mike Wallace. We're down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but we're staying in Birmingham. It's about an hour away. Keith, because he's impervious to the effects of nuclear holocaust.
Cost us our dinner out because of the traffic jam on the way home.
Keith, who because he can never die, knows that money has no actual value. He sprung for the satellite radio in the rental car. So we're driving back from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham, and Keith puts on some deep cut channel on the satellite radio. I mean, we are in like the 600s. We're in the tier that even the CEO of Sirius doesn't have. And
we had to use a secret password to get in.
And Keith is like, this is the best song ever. And we're looking at the screen, which has the artist in the song, and I don't know it. Mike doesn't know it, and Keith cranks this thing up. It might be the worst song I ever heard. It sounded like someone was swinging a cat against a trash can lid. That's the kind of music that Keith thinks is the best song ever.
Well, a newsflash, by the way, you want to break some news on this show. My college band, which some people might remember its brief revival in another form early in the Hudson Valley in the early 2000s, it's now coming back in its full form. The three original members have not been on stage together since 1991 because, and I have not spoken to the former lead guitarist for really since that time period, since 1991, maybe 95. We had one conversation. We've grown together again. This coronavirus does strange things. You kind of find people. We've decided we are going to do a reunion show when this thing is over, the three original members back on stage, and this is really exciting for all of you Butler fans. That was the name of the band, of course, the Butlers. The Butlers, of course, not one person like The Weeknd, the Butlers being the entire band. The exciting part about this is we're going to release a new EP in advance of that show when the virus is over. So we're already working on some new material, which we will be recording at a distance. It's very exciting.
Okay, you and I have very different definitions of exciting news, but I do think now, before we get into our actual show, I think our viewers would like us to take this opportunity for you to tell the story about the time you had a raw chicken thrown at you while you were performing as a member of your band. Well,
this was a real unfortunate period that we went through. I don't know.
Do you think this is why people tune into the show? Like, do you think they want this, or do they want our thoughts on like why the Super Bowl ratings declined?
Because not enough people were watching. It just answered. You know why they went down? Fewer people tuned in. You know why? You can't have a party. You didn't want to watch. No one cared. Right? It's the way it is. I mean, right? You can't watch. There's no way. You can't get together. Everyone's in a bad mood already. We know this. So I will say this. Look, the band was going through something of like in Spinal Tap, our experimental period, kind of like when Nigel left the band. So it was kind of our jazz odyssey period that we went through. Towards the end of my college days, it was the last part of my senior year. Unfortunately, the aforementioned guitarist who we have now reunited broke off from the band and took the keyboardist with him. And it was a real ugly patch. I said some things I'm a little ashamed of, but we've grown back together. But we evolved, and we were at that point a lean, mean 3-person operation. I, of course, singing and playing guitar, despite the fact at that point my guitar playing skills were probably not up to frontman standards. So we had some kind of side shows to kind of distract. Sometimes food was involved, and people would throw food, and there's power drills and all the kinds of things you'd expect to see in a rock and roll show. I'll forward to our final show, which is only a week before graduation. Not the time that you want a black eye when your parents are coming up to see what they just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on to get you through your college experience. For a long list of reasons, a raw chicken was thrown at my head during the show by none other than esoteric sports expert Jim Cotter. That the chicken, which should have never been at the show in the first place, hit both my microphone and then, of course, my face, and knocked me out when I went falling through the stage and a bunch of props that we had to entertain the crowd. I laid there for a fair amount of time, eventually got up, of course, finished the show. And that was the final performance of my senior year. So we're looking forward to revisiting that moment as the band gets back together.
I'd like to take a moment to address our reliable audience of one. And when I refer to our reliable audience of one, I mean, of course, the only person that we can be certain that watches this program every week, whoever at For the Fans has to insert the commercials into our broadcast. I would like to make an impassioned plea to you right now that when the Butlers reunite, that the official reunion documentary be carried here on For the Fans, produced by the Sportish crew. Because I don't know who could give you the behind the music treatment that you deserve better than we could.
It is there. You know some of these stories, and they are dark. There have been some dark, ugly stories. And you haven't met all the players. I mean, you've met the two most important people, me and the person that almost killed me on the stage.
Uh-huh.
But there are a lot there. I mean, you know the love triangle.
No, I mean, we got another 30 minutes of show.
No. We'll save that. We'll save that for the documentary.
We'll save that for the documentary.
Really, yeah, absolutely. And so, but we're excited to get this is what COVID does. It brings people back together.
Okay. So if the reunion of the Butlers is not the biggest event of the year, it might be the Super Bowl. Ratings were down this year, 96.4 million viewers, the worst to watch, the fewest to watch since 2007, the worst ratings. You think it's because people can have parties. I actually think that would mean more people would be watching. If you get 40 people in a room watching one television, if they have a Nielsen box, that's one view. If you've got people all over the country, you would think theoretically the viewership would go up. So I was surprised that the ratings were as low as they were.
Well, a few things. One is, it is challenging to count ratings today with the different numbers of ways. And so I don't think they've gotten a full handle on dealing with streaming platforms and television and so forth. And
I think these numbers include that. I believe they have gotten that. That's why the numbers came out a day later than we were expecting. I think they said about 6 million people watched on the various streaming platforms.
Yeah, that seems low. But what I do believe that people were simply, I do think the party has something to do. The fact that you can't watch it together. Some people watch simply so they can watch communally. And I understand sometimes when you bring a lot of people together, that may detract. I don't think those people that were going to parties were going to watch it all. I think the fact that this was a less festive occasion probably discouraged some folks from tuning in at all. That would be my first thing. The second thing is I don't think people were as vested in the season this year. I mean, I think in general, I think a lot of us, look, I don't watch a ton of NFL to be newsflash. You should know by the kind of analysis we provide on this show. We just don't watch a whole lot. But I don't think, for a long list of reasons, people were particularly vested in the NFL. Some of it is people have a lot of other things to worry about. In some ways, it feels a little odd to be watching the NFL when we're going through such strife, both, the virus, but all the other strife that I think that's confronted us as a public. I think, look, still politics. And I mean, obviously now we're going through an impeachment hearing. That is a giant vacuum that takes a lot of our mental energy. So I think there's a lot of reasons why people were just not as vested in the NFL and in all sports properties right now. And I don't think you can inherently expect for people who have not been watching all season to all of a sudden, particularly when it's not part of a communal event, to all of a sudden care deeply about the Super Bowl itself.
So that fact, the fact that sports ratings have been down, has been true across the board throughout the pandemic. When this pandemic started in March and April, people thought, well, we got to get sports back because people are sitting at home with nothing to do. Viewership numbers are going to be insane. And every event, whether it was a run-of-the-mill tennis match or a PGA Tour golf tournament or the Super Bowl, have been down. And not down slightly, down by significant margins. It's to the point now where it's happened for almost an entire year. It's happened to every sport across the board. Does it ever come back?
Well, I mean, look, that's the multi-billion-dollar question, particularly as you're seeing now a transformation in how we're going to be broadcasting everything. Look, the Super Bowl, the ad that caught everyone because it ran like 50 times is the new Paramount Plus streaming app.
Got us to talk about
it. So that ran forever, and that is part of the movement by all of the the content creators to move from a cable and kind of linear mode of delivery to a streaming platform mode of delivery. And that inherently is a risky move that is very likely to kind of result in fewer viewers for any one particular platform. And one of the big draws to get people to Paramount or to Peacock or to any of these things, certainly ESPN Plus, for the fans, of course, is the draw of live sports. So my guess is we were going to see a slow. I'm doing this for the viewers. If you're listening, my hand is going down. There you go. You want to describe that, Jeff? Jeff, you want to?
So Keith, using his left hand, is pantomiming how a graph in decline goes. It starts at the top, things are going well, but all of a sudden trouble starts to hit. And that graph, it heads down before ticking back up slightly, and then it drops again a little bit below the average level that it achieved before. Now it is taking a precipitous dive right off a cliff. This is the point where executive gets fired. That's what Keith was doing with his hand, in case you're listening to the podcast version. He was pantomiming what a graph does when things go poorly. What he could have done instead, right, with that minute of your life, what he could have done instead was say things weren't going well. Or even in fewer words, things were declining.
That was actually GameStop. By the way, what's this whole deal with cryptocurrency? Should we be buying that?
I don't entirely know. And I feel like if you admit you don't know what cryptocurrency is, like you're not cool. So I would never say that publicly. That's why I'm saying it here on this program. And so when you ask me,
we should take call-ins. We should take call-ins for people like a confessional. Do you want to say something where no one else can hear? Come to our private session on For the Fans Network. I'm sorry with all.
When you ask me what the deal with cryptocurrency is, I don't know. If anyone's watching, please tweet at us. You see the handle up top or down below. And please let me know what cryptocurrency is, because I might need to diversify my portfolio.
Investment advice from Sportish. So, by the way, apparently Vegas did really well in the Super Bowl. So
betting, yes, did very well in the Super Bowl. Vegas did not. Bets in Vegas declined from $154 million wagered a year ago to $136 million wagered this year. But overall, the amount of money bet on the Super Bowl more than ever before.
But I believe they did well. The house did well. It's, I guess, better.
The house may have done well. Yeah, the total amount of money that was wagered was less. In Las Vegas, not across the board. Yeah. More money wagered on this Super Bowl than I believe any sporting event in history, because of how accessible sports betting is in America now. In your state, New Jersey, $117 million wagered on the Super Bowl. That's double last year.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas likes, there's always a fighter's chance in Vegas and Jersey, excuse me. It's interesting, but that may be in some ways, if you want to talk about will things come back, that might be in some ways the future of the sports industry. And not. I mean, look, for the fans, as long as we're going to talk about our own network, they've been on this for quite some time, and there's ties on our network certainly to the ability to gamble. I don't think there's any gambling on. There should be some gambling tied to this show.
There should be gambling tied to
What would be
show.
the things you would bet on? What would be the things you would bet on?
I mean, I think you have to do with who's going to say more words, right? We have to have a word count. Does Keith speak more? Does Jeff speak more?
That's a hard one. I'm gonna dominate that.
That's what you think. What if I start talking really fast? And then you spend too much time pantomiming things, making me describe them. That's just kicking my word count up.
Could you imagine someone who bet on me on the over as I'm doing this and you're talking to me like, Keith, stop talking. Stop using your hand. Use your mouth. You're costing me money. Because then
something tells me that's not the first time you've yelled that. We could wager on things like what color shirts we're going to wear. We could wager on how many seconds Keith Strudler is physically incapacitated from being able to speak because of what I just said.
What do you think of this shirt? I know you hate it.
I think you're wearing Tampa Bay Buccaneers colors because they won the Super Bowl.
That's true. You want me to get a Bucko Bruce helmet? I'm going to try to find one of those to put in the background too. You love those helmets.
I'm not that concerned with what's on your background.
I do think though that gambling is going to be a big part of the ecosphere of how sports and sports television maintain solvency, right? So if they're getting fewer viewers, but there's a piece of the action on gambling, which is obviously, look, the streaming apps, that if we're going to how we're going to be watching and you're watching on a more interactive streaming, application, you're going to be able to do things that you couldn't do when you were watching on cable. I think for a lot of the sports, that's the future.
Speaking of big bets on the Super Bowl, the biggest bet was $3.4 million wagered on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was done by a man named Jim Mackingvale. If you're in the Houston areas, place where Keith Strudler's from, you might know him better as Mattress Mack. He owns a furniture store in the Houston area, and he is something of a marketing genius. People might think,
do you know the line? Do you know his tagline?
No, I've never been to Houston. What's his line?
Gallery Furniture, 6006 between I-45 between Tidwell and Parker. Gallery Furniture really will save you money. That's his tagline. He used to go on wrestling. Way back in the day on the local wrestling shows, and he'd get a wad of cash, pull it out of his back pocket, and jump up and down and go, Gallery Furniture really will save you money.
Why is he a marketing genius? Because Keith Strudler, who hasn't lived in Houston for 30 years, just repeated his business tagline on television. Why is he wagering $3.4 million in the Super Bowl? It's not because he's a degenerate gambler who needs to have life-changing sums of money on a game to be able to feel anything. No, he's doing it to offset a promotion for his furniture store. He told his customers that if you spend $3,000 in my store and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win, then you get all that stuff for free. And so then he goes out, takes the amount of money that people purchased in product, bets it as a hedge on the game, gets insane publicity from every outlet in the world about this guy who just wagered $3.4 million in the Super Bowl. We're talking about Mattress Mack. All the while, he's just trying to do good for his customers. We're just out here subsidizing Mattress Mack's ability to give free furniture away to the people of Houston and then promoting Gallery Furniture. He hasn't given us a dime. We haven't made a dime. Now Keith Strudler's family may have saved money on his old bedroom set as a kid when they went to Gallery Furniture, but I haven't gotten anything. So I have so much respect for Mattress Mack and what he's doing and his $3.4 million bet. I love this guy.
Well, and I'll give you another tagline. And part of his thing was, you buy your furniture, you want to get it, but you have to wait. Like that's the problem. You go buy furniture and they're like, you'll get it in 4 weeks. His thing was, you're going to get it right away. So it's buy it today, sleep on it tonight. No back order.
Are you telling me that
buy it today, sleep on it tonight. No back order.
Are you telling me that,
I told you I was in a good mood when we started today.
That Chris Berman stole his famous home run derby call from a mattress salesman in Texas?
All right, I'd hate to carbon date this, but I can tell you, I'll tell you who does it better. Mattress Mack is a marketing genius. We never fully understood how a guy who was selling kind of discount furniture out of a warehouse all of a sudden was sponsoring like bowl games. Like he managed, I mean, it really was a furniture shop on a highway. And I mean, you want to talk about the power of sports. He used wrestling, which had this incredibly fervent audience in the local area. And this was back in the Junkyard Dog era of wrestling, when it was Paul Bosch as the promoter. Kind of really, it's glory days before it became highly professionalized and you got into the WWE world and so forth. And he used that to kind of build this fan base, but it was very customer service driven, right? It was all about how do I meet the customer needs? And he also looked beyond all the silliness. He's done a lot of good for the city of Houston, a lot of charity work through the hurricanes. I mean, he is, as much as you kind of laughed a little bit at the beginning, there is not a soul in Houston that does not respect him highly.
I was going to say, I'm not laughing at him at all. He's a community-minded philanthropic guy. Yeah. Like, he's doing this to subsidize his customers getting free stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's genius.
And I know what you want. I know what you want. You want me to tell the story.
Well, that's what we're here for. I didn't bring up Mattress Mack for my health.
So
I get all worked up about the fact that Mattress Mack's winning millions and not giving a cut to Sportish.
Well, but I have already benefited from Mattress Mack. Mattress Mack have, I guess one might say, something of relationship. So my senior prom in Houston, quite a long time ago, back in they'd have the after parties. The school would have the after party because I think they wanted to make it so that you stayed safe, right? So you'd have the big prom and then they'd have an after party and there'd be all kind of games. And obviously, I mean, it's to keep people from doing things they shouldn't be doing at that particular moment. So we all went to the after party and it was a gambling after party, right? So they give you tokens and you play games and you whatever. And me and my best friend, we collected all of our tickets and it goes to be part of a raffle or something like that, right? So you win all your tickets and you throw it in a raffle at the end. Now, the number one prize was a new car.
Wow. It's not bad if you're in high school.
That's not bad at all. Oddly enough, the new car went to the one exchange student we had.
Oh, okay.
That's hard, which made no sense because you can't bring the car back to wherever you're going.
Take the car back. But I tell you what, you can take back is the cash from when you sell the car.
So the second prize, now, I say this, the person that was sponsoring this whole thing and was giving out the prizes was none other than Mattress Mack. So the second prize, one step down from the car, was a brand new moped. And
that is one step down from a car in every way.
And who won the brand new moped? Me and my best friend. So we won the moped and Mattress Mack gave it to us. We went out like a week later. Unfortunately, I mean, there's a longer story than anyone's here. Whatever the bike shop that seemed to have donated this was a real bike shop, like a biker shop, like a big, like where Harley guys hang out. So me and my friend show up, another guy in the cross country team, we're like, hey, we're here for our moped.
So my first question is, how did two people win one prize?
Well, because we decided we were going to pool our tickets. We decided we are pooling our tickets. We're putting them in together and we'll share whatever. We didn't expect. Now, fortunately, it was something that we could ride together.
I was going to say, my second thing was that plan seems to have backfired a little bit when what you won was the opportunity to hold on to your friend's waist on the back of a moped as he scooted through downtown Houston. Well,
it was really ugly when all these guys were riding like these massive Harleys were watching the two of us like spinning out in the parking lot, being like, woohoo! Good memory though.
You want to know how I spent the after party of my senior prom?
Alone.
That's mean. I had 103-degree fever at my prom. It is to this day, I believe, the sickest I have ever been in my life. And this sickness came on the morning of prom. And my school had a rule where if you did not attend school that day, our prom was on Friday. If you did not attend school that day, you could not attend the after school activity, whatever
That's
that
true
was.
Everywhere. Yeah.
If it was a sports game, if it was a school dance, whatever. So I, not wanting to be the person who literally bailed on my prom date, dragged myself through 8 periods of high school. Throughout the course of the day, drinking an entire bottle of Dimetap cough syrup, as I was convinced that that's what would make me feel better. By the time like 4 or 5 o'clock came around and we were taking pictures and we were actually getting into the limos to actually go to prom, I was on cloud nine. As Keith Strudler said earlier in this program, I was invincible to a nuclear holocaust. Like at that point, my blood was more medicine than hemoglobin. Like I was ready to go.
Yep.
We get to the prom, and
I'm going to do another one of these graphs for the viewers.
Oh yeah, and that is.
I'm in this. It's going
right
up.
Now that
it's
graph's going up, and now that dinner's being served, and now it's going down very, very quickly, because when your entire bottle of cold and flu medicine wears off,
it's hard to keep feeding that beast. It's hard to keep feeding the beast.
You hit a crash like you never expect. And so at this point, my fever has returned. Again, I have about 103-degree temperature, and I am now profusely sweating through my tuxedo.
And it's angry. It's angry at being held at bay. It is angry.
And
this sounds a lot like our Final Four experience.
It is angry being held at bay. So not only am I now sweating through my tuxedo, I have teacher chaperones that know me that are like, are you okay? Do we need to call someone? I spend the Last Dance prom song, which was Eric Clapton's Wonderful Tonight.
Terrible.
In the toilet.
Terrible. You know, the best slow prom song of all time. We've been over this.
I don't remember.
Heaven by Bryan Adams. And it's not even close.
Sure.
It's not close.
Yeah, I don't know if Wonderful Tonight's a good prom song because I was vomiting my guts out in the bathroom.
Oh, there was a vomit because that's the key. That's the
And so you might think
on prom night where so many people are vomiting because they've been illegally bringing in beverages that they're not enough to drink and are throwing up. You're throwing up because you have the flu and have been soaking your sorrow in Diamond Tap.
Yeah. And so you might think that when the prom ended and I got myself through this situation, that I would just go home, right? That I would make the intelligent choice of going to get into bed. No. My friend was having an after prom party. And I said that this is my senior prom experience. And gosh darn it, I'm going to have the entire experience. So I went to this after prom party, which literally I dragged myself in to this person's house. And it's, maybe, 9, 10 o'clock at night, whatever time it is. Everybody's having a great time at the party. I walk right upstairs into a bedroom, lay my ass down. People keep coming in to see me, to hang out.
Yep.
And I am just laying there, tube of Vicks Vapo Rub on my chest. And I do not move from that spot until the morning. Got very uncomfortable when my best friend came into the room at around, maybe 2, 3 in the morning and wanted to make use of the room for other purposes. And he was trying to convince me.
This is taking a dour turn, right?
He was trying to convince me to get out of the room, and I steadfastly refused. That was honestly the beginning of the end of our friendship.
Well,
so it got a little sad at the end there, but that's how I spent my prom night. So you want a moped that you got to ride with your best friend. I had 103-degree fever, was in the bathroom during my prom song, and then lost a friendship because I wouldn't get out of the sick bed in the middle of the night.
Yours sounds a lot like the script for Superbad.
Sort of. It's in the neighborhood.
Interesting. Well, whatever it is, but Mattress Mack is quite, and it is interesting. He makes remarkably savvy business decisions as well, and that's everything about. I don't know how this became a mattress sales show. We're critiquing. We're critiquing different businesses like we're some amateur version of The Prophet.
I think, it kind of you bring up business shows. One of our favorite shows is Nathan For You with Nathan Fielder. What Mattress Mack does kind of sounds like what Nathan Fielder would tell a struggling business owner to do. He's like, you know what you do? You promise you're going to give away everything for free. And then you hedge that bet by sports gambling. It sounds like it's a joke.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I would say is, what if he had lost? What if the Bucks had not covered?
Well, then all the people that bought all the furniture, he would have gotten the profits from the sale.
Okay, that was it was only all right. He was betting one.
He doesn't place the bet to win. He places the bet to break even. Mm-hmm. So if the people that bought, you have to buy $3,000 worth of furniture at his store, and if the Bucks win, then you get that furniture for free. So he takes the profits that he would have made from the sales and bets that on the Bucks. So that if the Bucks do win, it zeroes out.
Yeah. How much do you think he thought? I mean, was this a coin flip to him? Is he a Tom Brady guy? I wonder what went into that. He's a big sports fan. He's a huge Rockets fan, big Astros fan, obviously. Yeah. But I wonder what went into that decision. Like, I feel like he is too informed as a sports fan to not have a really good kind of perspective on this. So I would be interested to know, or conspiracy theory, was he actually paying off the refs to make all of those calls?
Whoa. Well,
Shazam! Mattress Mack has a lot of influence. If you're outside of either the TV ad sales business or the growing up in Houston, you don't understand the power that Jim McElvain has. Have we uncovered why there were so many pass interference calls and holding calls in the first half?
The only reason there might be some credence to this theory is that the Chiefs were inordinately penalized. I mean, it was a storyline in the game how much the Chiefs, I believe, were more first half penalties on the Kansas City Chiefs than any team in Super Bowl history. I don't know if that trend held through the entire game, but I do think now we should find out if any of the Super Bowl officials have new patio furniture.
And did they get it literally the day after the Super Bowl? They didn't have to wait. There was no back order. They bought it today, slept on it tonight. We have just made the one viewer who grew up in Houston very happy in this show.
What do you think would happen? This is why I think our show is the best show on television.
Texas now? Is this show trending in Texas?
This is why I love our show, and it's why I love our network, because we have freedom to do things like float a baseless conspiracy theory that the Super Bowl was fixed. What would happen if we tried to do that on some other network? Like would our show even reach its conclusion before it faded to black? Now this has to be mentioned. Are we the sports version of QAnon? Like seriously, think about it. You have to know somebody who knows somebody and have a degree in computer science to figure out how to access our opinions. But if you do, you're going to be so swayed by our persuasive nature that you can't help but hear something like what we just said, that the referees fixed the Super Bowl so Tampa Bay could win because they were paid off by a crazy furniture store owner in Houston who gave them free mattresses.
He's not crazy. He's crazy like a fox. Crazy like a fox.
It kind of makes sense, right? In the same way that our president might be arrested at his inauguration. You think it could happen.
I gave you real ideas. I said, hey, do you want to talk today about the fact that the NBA is moving forward with the All-Star game and the stars are not happy about it? You said, nope. You literally, I could read the text. Hey, hold on. That sounds like a sports show.
Yeah, that is exactly what I texted. Was whoa. What do you think we do a sports show?
So I had some real sport. I fed the beast with some real sports topics this week. Apparently you said, no. I'd really like to hear more about this moped story with Mattress Mack.
And by the way, here's the story that we're going to talk about instead of talking about whether the NBA should have an all-star game. Spoiler alert, they shouldn't, but they're going to. Here's what we're going to talk about instead.
We should insert that for everything. The Olympics shouldn't, going to.
I mean, if you think about it,
baseball season shouldn't, going to.
It sums up where we're at in this country with the coronavirus, right? New York City opening indoor dining shouldn't, but they will.
Wedding party shouldn't, going to. Flying to Hawaii, coach class shouldn't, going to.
Asking your high school best friend with 103-degree fever to go sleep on the floor so that you and your girlfriend can have a great prom night shouldn't, but you're going to.
It's throwing a raw chicken at your roommate's head while he's playing on stage shouldn't, going to.
All right. This is the story. Look, viewers that know us and listeners that know us know that this is how we're going to end the show. So here it is. Recently, the nation of Nepal has banned 2 northern Indian climbers from summiting any of their mountains after they faked photos showing that they summited Mount Everest. Now, these 2 climbers actually did go on a climb up Mount Everest. It's not like they just doctored some photos and put them out in the world and said, give us our certificate. And by the way, that is what you get if you summit Mount Everest. You get a certificate.
That seems very low. That's
29,000 feet in the air. They give you a piece of paper. And these guys wanted that piece of paper so badly that they faked reaching the summit. So they got about 27,000.
Is that the worst trophy ever? Is that the worst trophy ever?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. They get 27,000 feet up Mount Everest. They reached what is lovingly known as the death zone, where the air in Mount Everest gets so thin that even with bottled oxygen, it's still extremely dangerous to the human body. Well, anyway, their oxygen supplies depleted, and their guide believed that they were not in good enough shape. They actually fell into distress and had to be helped off the mountain. So they got 2,000 feet away from the summit, didn't get all the way there, got back home, and then decided to fake it. They doctored photos of themselves at the summit. Now, I've done a little research into this. In India, you get a lot of cultural cachet if you summit Mount Everest, to the point where you can win national merit awards, money. You can get promotions if you work for the government. You can receive lifelong benefits.
It's like being an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, a little bit. So societally, there is a reason beyond the certificate why they would want to fake summiting Mount Everest. But let's pretend there isn't. Why in the world would anyone want to fake summiting Mount Everest?
It seems so weird. Now, I didn't know, because I just, as you know, I read this story and mentioned it to you like I read every story, which is I read the headline, then go, oh, this is a great story. And then I assume that someone else can actually read it. You
rely on me to read it, and then you'll react to the recap that I give you. One of these weeks, by the way, I'm going to make up a totally fake story based on the headline that you send me, and then make you react to that.
It turns out they built an entirely new mountain. So I did not know that they got to 27,000 feet. So they got, I mean, they were within I don't want to say stone's throw, because this is like package delivery. Anyone can get it to the zip code. The last mile is where the action is, right? So I am impressed that they got that far. There's something that's so odd about doing that. And I will tell you, I would actually have more respect for them if they went and hiked up like someplace in the Catskills and took a picture of themselves. Like if they were in like Camp Gaw Mountain right here, like in Mahwah, New Jersey, with like an elevation of like 1,000 feet, where they have the baby ski slope. Like, I would be more respectful if they were like, we made it, wearing just like normal ski goggles and like a members only jacket or something. I would have more respect if they tried that. Secondly, is that how this works? Where you could just send in a picture and be like, hey, don't they have an eagle cam up there? We have cameras on top of every mountain, so I can watch the eagles flying and feed their babies. Like, how is that? How can you fake it?
It appears that you just have to submit proof of yourself on the summit. I mean, obviously the government of India or any other nation that isn't Nepal, and even probably the Nepalese government, they're not checking that deep. The inquiry to this only started because some people that have actually summited Everest looked at the photo and was like, well, it's not right. And so then they started a whole inquiry. There's
always been a rock on the left side, and we totally left a soda can up there. So there's no soda can. First of all, let me also say this. I do not understand. And like I pursue some fairly strange athletic pursuits, right? I mean, I've done Ironman distance triathlons before. I have not recently, nor will I. But I've chased some, just running distance track in college. Like that's not inherently normal. I understand the pursuit. Of course, our guest of the year, Jay Freeman, pursues these ultra marathons. I think that's weird. He did one where it's 24 hour run. But no, here's the best part. It's on a 1 mile loop.
Yeah. It's insanity. I mean, it's insanity.
But I don't understand the pursuit of going up Mount Everest. I actually do not understand I don't.
Really? You run triathlons, but don't understand why someone want to conquer the highest peak on the planet.
Well, this probably stems from the fact that I'm like avidly fearful of heights, and I would probably urinate in my pants. Like looking at the mountain, I'd probably be like, They'd be like, "You're going to need to stay warm." I'd be like, "Nope, I'm going to pee my way through this." The amount of warm fluid flowing through my loins is going to keep me at a steady 98.6.
This time I'm not saying anything. I said something the last time. This time I'm not saying anything. Continue your urine-soaked climb up the Hillary step.
So I just don't. To me, it there's so much fear involved in that process. Like, to me, I see that and I see nothing but fear and absolute, like, that you can really die on Mount Everest. I mean, people die regularly.
Yeah.
That's part
I've
of
read
the
into
gig.
thin air.
Well, that's nuts. But I mean, it's just a normal thing. How far do you think we would make it if we got to the base? We got to base.
All right,
I don't even think we'd make it to base camp, because base camp's pretty far.
Mount Everest is 29,000 feet and change in the air. How far would we make it?
I could go 2,000, maybe 1,500. 2,000. Well, you'd be an anchor. I'd make it a lot further than you, but I'd get afraid of heights. So the problem would be, you're probably not as afraid of heights, but you have no athletic prowess. So after about a half an hour, you'd be like, we should probably stop to eat lunch now. We got these sandwiches.
So I wouldn't start if I knew I wasn't capable of finishing. Like, if I can't get to the top, why am I going to take one step?
Well, that's a good way to never do anything, by the way. That's a great way to never
start anything. There are
start
lots of things I can finish, and I begin them all the time. Like this show. We started this show, and I said in my head confident, like, you know what? We can get to 48 minutes. We can do it. We can make it the whole way. Now, do I know what we're going to talk about during that 48 minutes? Did I think the story about Keith getting a raw chicken thrown at his head was going to come up? Did I think I was going to tell the story about my senior prom night? No, I didn't think those things were going to happen. But I knew that no matter what, we'd make it to the end of the program. We would provide our viewers with the 1 hour of entertainment that they tune in for.
I'm going to put a lid on this thing. What I don't understand even more, because I know, look, a lot of people in the endurance sports world fake performances. Like, they'll cheat on a course. They're all you saw this in like the indoor. Now there are all these indoor marathons, indoor cycling races. People are cheating. I actually don't understand. I really don't understand the satisfaction one would get from faking an accomplishment. The only thing you get out of this is this feeling like, hey, I did it. Like, I can tell you, when I finished the first time I did an Ironman, I was like, get me to the hospital and put a vacuum cleaner in my mouth. B, and just suck what's left of the inside of my body. B,
you got to stop teeing it up for me.
B, I mean, you at least feel like, hey, I did that. Like, I thought I was going to die and I did that, right? What's the point of faking it?
Hey, I don't finisher's medal and a tinfoil blanket to you, our loyal viewers and listeners, because you made it to the end of this episode of Sportish. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Our producer's Mike Wallace. He's Dr. Keith Strudler. My name is Geoff Brault. FTFnext.com to find archived versions of our videos and podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, all those places. Listen to them. We're back next week. See you then.
Thanks for listening to Sportish. See you next time.